Data protection and privacy teams are under more pressure than ever with new laws, AI oversight, data breaches, and the constant expectation to do more with fewer resources.
That's why TrustArc built a modern privacy and data protection management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. It unifies your tools, automates the work that slows you down, and surfaces what matters most right when you need it.
From guided quick actions to our intelligent assistant, Ask Arc, you get credible, contextual answers backed by expert research, not generic AI guesses.
Finally, privacy that works the way privacy pros work.
Learn how TrustArc helps teams move faster with confidence at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.
You're listening to the award-winning Serious Privacy podcast sponsored by TrustArc. Please welcome your hosts, Paul Breitbart, Ralph O'Brien, and Dr. Kay Royal.
There's something fascinating about a solar eclipse. We look up to the moon as it moves across the sun's surface, but we have to be careful not to burn our eyes. We need protective glasses to watch it. And so, this week, we're going to talk about sunglasses, and we're going to talk about specifically the Meta Ray brands, or Glass Holes 2, as I like to call it. And when we're going to think about the glasses we wear to stop us burning our eyes, that's a form of control. Often in data protection and privacy, we talk about control over what we reveal, control over who sees us, control over who gets our information. The things that look like ordinary glasses, sit on your face like ordinary glasses, who has the control? Who wears the glasses? The people in front of the camera. Welcome to Serious Privacy. My name is Ralph O'Brien.
And I'm Kay Royal, and welcome to Serious Privacy. That's okay. I'll let that slide. I figured you did it like Freudian slip kind of thing, so I was okay with that. Yeah, we have this ongoing, if you're new to the podcast or not new, we have this ongoing debate on whether it's privacy or privacy. It's not really a debate, right? I'll give you a quick example. I was talking to someone about HIPAA doesn't apply to workers' comp or auto injury. And the person on the other end is, that's your opinion. I'm like, no, let's be clear. This is not a piece of law that needs a lawyer to interpret it. HIPAA very specifically says these insurances aren't covered. Anyway, so there we go. Freudian slip there. These things aren't covered. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. Anyway, unexpected question. And funny enough, when I wrote this down in my list of fantastic unexpected questions for the year, which means they're not completely unexpected to me, I actually wrote down a choice of answers for myself too. So I didn't realize that. I did that when I got the question. So here we go. If you could only say, I know this is a perfect one for you, Ralph. If you could only say 3 words for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Oh my. Yeah, perhaps, just, oh my God, just a permanent state of surprise at the one.
Well, you could put different inflections on it and be like, oh my God. Or like the Southern, bless her heart.
Bless her heart, yeah.
You could say, oh, bless her heart. It could be sincere.
I could go to Marvel and just say, we are Groot, or I am Groot.
Right. See, that's one I wrote down. I am Groot.
Preempted you there.
That is one I wrote down. The other one is good googly moo.
Good googly moo. I like that one. That's beautiful.
I had a blog many years ago. None of y'all are allowed to go look for it because it's on the internet, so it never goes away. Called Good Googly Moo.
Good googly moo. I will be Googling good googly moo.
Don't you dare Google. I can't even say this. This is worse than operationalization. I am going to warn y'all. I have been up for more than 24 hours. For some reason, I could not sleep last night. And I stayed up all night long writing Ralph and Paul about something I needed to change about an image and for this reason. And it was all very well thought out and very well put. It's not like I was on a manic rant. But considering they both probably woke up to 15 messages from me, it looked like a manic rant. It's the way I feel when I get to the end of the day and I finally check their Slack messages to me. Because I don't check personal stuff during the day, right? So I get to the end of the day and I'm like, oh my God, I have 38 unread messages.
We also should mention that Paul isn't here, by the way.
I get to talk about him
Yeah, we can talk about him behind his back this week. This won't get broadcast at all.
publicly.
No, he's currently in Jersey at one of the meetings of the Jersey Commissioner. We wish him well there on the beautiful island of Jersey.
And he rejected our suggestion to just put his phone on the table and record the
Naturally.
meeting. Totally rejected out of hand without even thinking. I don't even think he thought about it. He just, no.
I wonder why. It's a beautiful sunny day. And as we record this, as I said, we are less than an hour from an eclipse where the moon moves in front of the sun and it goes completely dark here. In fact, if you're on the coast of Spain or the coast of Iceland, it'll actually be 100%
Wow.
completely blacked out, which did lead us on to our topic. And Kay, will you be buying the Ray-Bans?
No, I won't, but I think I have a pair of bootlegged DuckGo ones.
Bootlegged DuckDuckGo ones. For those people that don't know, DuckDuckGo's response to the new Meta Ray-Bans has been absolutely hilarious and absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Here's a pair of completely private, we don't track anything, not connected to technology, no GPS tracker, whatever.
Normal sunglasses, yes, indeed. I actually blogged about this week. They've actually done it in partnership with a sunglasses company, Knockaround. And yes, they're making a big deal out of the fact it's got no camera, no microphone, no AI assistant, no internet connection, basically normal sunglasses. And that's interesting because not every object has got to be teched up, right? Not every experience needs to become data. Not every conversation needs to be logged and recorded, right? And I think that's kind of my issue. Technology is out there. We all have cameras with us. We all have mobile phones. We can all capture things wherever we go. But there are lines, right? There are lines you can cross. And actually what's interesting, you can say, hey,
and some you shouldn't.
And some of you shouldn't, right? Yeah. Yeah, there's that old quote from Jurassic Park, isn't it? That before they think whether they can, perhaps they should stop thinking about whether they should. Now, I'm not anti-tech in any way.
In any way, form, or matter, other than the board game.
Even that is about balancing benefits and harms, right? We want to be pro-innovation, but introduce the right level of control. And so to me, I really got about thinking what the right level of control would be for those Meta Ray-Bans. And for me, it's quite simple. Wear a big neon sign over your head pointing down at you, saying you're recording everybody. And if you don't like it, think about the way you're highlighting everybody else you were recording.
Exactly. I joked with Paul one year at IAPP DC. I don't know yet if I'm going to be in Brussels. I've had a complication come up. We'll have to see what happens there. I'll try. But I thought about putting on one of those headbands that has the big arrow above it pointing down. That way Paul could always find me in a crowd and everybody else could find the podcast. I was going to put the big logo on it.
Big Serious Privacy logo.
Big Serious Privacy logo with an arrow, neon pink, of course, pointing down to Kay. Paul can have a blue one. You can have a blue and pink one. I'm up for debate here what colors they can be. Maybe it should be blue with pink stripes on it or something. Anyway, that way y'all could easily find us at a conference. And hey, y'all can take bets on whether I actually show up with these made. That could happen.
What are your thoughts, Kay? It's interesting that there's been made of the fact you can have a $30 software patch that will stop the red light from turning on, or use a little piece of black tape.
Or right, exactly, or spray paint it black or whatever. Here's the thing. Is this carrying public surveillance a little too far? Yes, it is, because public surveillance is done by entities, right? It's done by companies or the public government that puts out surveillance. Countries are widely known for them. UK has cameras everywhere. Companies have Ring doorbells and all of this. This goes beyond that. This is not surveillance of your property. This is you out in public, which, okay, fine. You can't stop people from doing them in public. But this is also people at work. This is also people at home. This is people on their jobs. This is people at school. This is people in your classrooms. Even if you think you should have the right to wear whatever piece of technology you want, would you want your kid's teacher doing it?
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? Yeah, normalizing surveillance is a word we use quite often.
Personal surveillance, personal space survey. I don't even know how to phrase it, but I feel like there needs to be a phrase for it. Intrusive nonsense is probably not the one people want me to call it. And I'm being paranoid here. This is how gives you the right to do this?
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? I had wondered whether actually, from a European point of view, whether it would actually make the wearers data controllers. There is the carve out for a social and domestic
For
exemption.
personal use.
Yeah. But I was actually wondering if the uses would then be restricted to the social and domestic use.
Well, yeah, and it should be, right? Because here's the thing. Cameras in cars, they say no. Cameras in Airbnb, you have to disclose and let people know. Cameras in stores, you have to put up a surveillance sign. Cameras in schools are not allowed in the classrooms because you're not allowed to record students, right? You're not allowed to do that. There's so many places where you're not allowed to record in the bathroom. But now these cameras go everywhere. We already say the Samsung TV with the camera on it that made news years ago shouldn't allow that. They shouldn't be able to. Everything with the camera shouldn't be able to record. But you know what? That applies to glasses too.
Have you seen a film called The Circle, Kay,
Yeah, of
back in
course.
2017?
Have you seen the next version of The Circle? Yeah, I just saw it advertised.
This is the version like the reality TV show, yeah?
No, I think it is basically The Circle 2. I'll have to look it up while you're giving an example.
So for those people that don't know, The Circle is a 2017 film based on an earlier book by the author Dave Eggers, which describes a sort of a fictional future where tech companies promote wearable surveillance technology. In this case, like a little pin that contains a camera, health and biometrics bracelets, microchip trackers for young children. And they actually have a slogan: secrets are lies, sharing is caring, privacy is theft, which I think is a really interesting tagline. And the film The Circle, it's a Tom Hanks and Emma Watson film where Emma Watson is encouraged to basically film her life 24/7 and broadcast it, almost AKA The Truman Show, right? But without the control of that sort of safe, bubbly space. And quite often these books are put out as a sort of dystopian surveillance nightmare, but I wonder how far we are from that. With drones and mobile phones and wearable technology, now that the cat is out of the bag, so to speak, can it ever go back in? Or should these Meta Ray-Bans be, I'm going to use the pun here, banned?
Oh, apparently I'm blocked from going to look up movies that are like The Circle.
Okay.
So I guess it's not the Circle 2, but there was something I just saw come out that seemed like it was the next sequel to The Circle. Maybe it's not really the book or whatever, but it seemed like it was on the ad. Y'all have to know, I don't watch commercial TV like at all. So for me to actually see a trailer for a movie is pretty unusual, right? As much as I love movies, maybe I should get a side hustle in watching movie trailers and giving feedback. That's apparently a thing you could do now, along with all the ads for attorneys to come join these side hustles and teach AI what an attorney would do. Or I'm like, really? I don't know that y'all can pay me. If you paid me enough, maybe, but I don't think it pays enough. $150 an hour is not enough. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, if there's anyone out there that really does think that the glasses are okay, please comment on our post to LinkedIn. I really do want to hear what you say. If you want to write us anonymous, you wouldn't be writing us anonymously, but if you want to write us anonymously, I think you can do so on the podcast, or you can drop one of us a note and we just won't share who it is with anyone else. But I did push a news alert. This came up from several countries around the U.S. out to our employees. And one of the HR people was like, what if it's a disability accommodation? I said, then they can tell us. Not everything that we ban or put a rule on at work has to have a caveat. And if you have a disability accommodation that needs to be accommodated, let us know. People know that if there's a rule and they need an accommodation, then you just tell people what the accommodation is. And we did. We had people that reached out to us as an accommodation. And it was exactly what has been in the news about accommodations, that it helps people with poor vision be able to navigate these environments a little better. Now, I have to question if the person works from home. Is that real or not? But okay. Not saying if it was or not.
There might be good use cases, transforming accessibility for visually impaired users, real-time translation, perhaps.
Yeah.
Assisting emergency responders comes to mind as well. Reducing dependency on mobile phones for those people that can't use their digits, perhaps.
I would be one of them that can't always use my digits, and people really hate me texting to type because it comes out well with a Southern accent. I just warn everybody, just read everything from me in text out loud. It will make more sense.
Yeah, saying should it be banned, I think, is a little bit of a false dichotomy because it goes back to that privacy versus kind of conversation again. You can either have privacy or you can have good stuff. You can have innovation or you can have privacy. I'm a big fan of having both. I don't think the technology shouldn't be there. I just think the technology should be controlled. It should be obvious when people are recording and not even with a tiny little red light. But as I said, some sort of huge neon sign, right? Yes, these things exist. Yes, once the Pandora's box is open, it can't be closed. So it becomes more of a case of how we control it and what your choices are.
People can walk around with their phones recording all the time. We know that. But
Yeah.
I just think it requires a lot of intolerance of other people's rights.
And that's it, right? It might be a choice of the wearer to wear them, but it's not a choice of the individual who gets recorded to be recorded, because privacy is not the only right. Over here, we actually have the right of freedom of expression, Article 10 of the Convention on Rights. And if everything you're doing is being recorded, people become more cautious. They don't speak out. They avoid controversial discussions. They self-censor. They don't engage with strangers or participate in public debate. They are less likely to carry out civil disobedience, which is important for growth. Don't get me wrong, I like a lawful society, but at the same time, acts of civil disobedience is how we perform change when there are injustices.
Exactly. And I did have someone this morning say there was something, maybe I remember what it was, something very simple. They're like, if we didn't allow this and we had technology, oh, I know exactly what it was. It was my daughter who homeschools my oldest grandson.
Mm-hmm.
And she just went yesterday and printed off like 100 pages of something for him to use. And this morning she wanted to print out a map because she wanted to overlay a grid and play battleships. I'm like, what part of these papers could you not put on a tablet? She's like, I have to lay a grid over it to play battleship. What part of a map could you not overlay a grid to play battleship? She's like, not everything has to be technology. She's like, why would you give kindergartners and first graders a tablet to learn on? Quit sending technology to kindergarten. I'm like, child, you are a digital immigrant. You might be more digitally tied in than your mom, although to be frank, I doubt it. But if you were to speak from our generations, maybe her generation, what is her generation? Is it Gen Z? She was born in the 90s. And am I Gen X? What am I?
Yeah.
I don't know what I am versus what she is, but whatever it is, we're two different generations.
Millennial?
Maybe that sounds more familiar. I have to look it up every time. They do know you can't really define generations until generations down the road when you can look in history and then decide where they group together. And now we've decided we're going to name them as we go.
I'm an Xennial. I'm on the cusp of Gen X and millennials.
Ooh.
Anyone bought, an Xennial.
Let's just say I was already born by 1970, got here.
Yeah, you're probably Gen X. You're not quite a boomer. You're definitely a Gen X.
Yeah, right. But being from the South, I might qualify in my outlook as more of a boomer being a nurse, right? But her generation is supposed to be more digitally savvy than my generation. Every generation should be more digitally savvy than their parents' generation and their grandparents' generation. That's just the way technology works. I don't think she is, right? And my grandchildren are growing up with the technology is already here when they're old enough to know what the heck it is. Actually, it may be gone by then. And I tell them I'm older than Google. Their mom is older than Google. It'll probably blow their minds. Will Google still be here in 15 years? 10 years? I'm sure it will in some version.
There are some people that are moving away from Facebook in favor of TikTok.
Oh, absolutely. It's your parents and your grandparents' tool, not the current generation at all, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how tools go in and out. Dare I mention things like MySpace and Bebo?
Oh, my daughters had MySpace accounts. I don't know what the other one is. We're just going to ignore that one, and we're just going to go from there. But I did want to get over to a few other things, not necessarily news of the week, but I do want to know what y'all think about this, right? But this was one that I thought was very interesting. So this was posted, I don't know, on Facebook or something, was a story that came up. A wild scene just unfolded at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta after Delta Flight 591 landed from Las Vegas. A group of passengers returning from the DEF CON cybersecurity convention allegedly used a portable network hacking. I'm reading this directly from
Is this the pineapple?
Mary Perot from Official Delta Diamond Medallion something. They used a network hacking tool like a Wi-Fi pineapple to launch a mid-air de-authentication attack. They successfully jammed the plane's official in-flight Wi-Fi, kicking everyone offline, broadcasted a malicious clone network named Delta Wi-Fi Fast. The fake hotspot served up a phishing landing page designed to harvest passengers' personal credentials and Google login data, prompting the captain to send an emergency ACARS, ACARS. I don't know what that stands for. Someone can Google it. Alert to the ground. Upon docking at gate A18, federal authorities and airport police immediately boarded the aircraft to hold the cabin, question the suspect, and seize the broadcasting hardware.
Yep. This is
really
just hackers being naughty, right?
Sounds like terrorists to me, because they could have taken down the planes. They only went after the Wi-Fi, but couldn't that interfere with the plane's navigation and stuff too?
The thing is, they were coming back from DEF CON, which is supposed to be a home for white hat hackers who are doing good things. So the fact they got together and decided to try and do something to a commercial airliner
malicious, because it went to a clone site that harvested their credentials. And we all know that the crew used the Wi-Fi on board as well. Now, whether or not they use the same one that's available to passengers, I don't know. And American has free Wi-Fi for everybody now. As long as you're a member of the American Club, you get free Wi-Fi. You don't have to pay for it, which is really good, but you should still use a VPN.
Yeah, totally. Again, just because you can doesn't mean you should with these things.
Right, exactly. So I just was reading a job announcement the other day that said the person should be, not that I'm looking for a job, just put that disclaimer out there. But I always watch the job market because that's where you learn what's going on, right? Like right now, there are so many privacy and data protection jobs open out there, and AI and data jobs. There's a ton of them. Hardly any of them are paying a crap. And from what I understand, hundreds and hundreds of people are applying, and God only knows what happens with them. That most of them, I think, don't ever even get a response back. I think they're rejected from AI if I'm listening to the chatter that's going on out there.
Seems to be a
So
problem.
if you got a good job, keep it.
Paul, funnily enough, would tell us that actually the Jersey Commission are looking for a compliance enforcement director between £114,000 and £124,000. There you go. If you want to go and work in Jersey as the compliance and enforcement director, go and have a look at it online.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all about who you know. So if you're looking for a job and I can help you, don't hesitate to reach out. I will put whatever good word for you in that I possibly can. But it's the job said the person must be comfortable working remote and must be comfortable working during travel, working on the airline, working on the train. So they absolutely require this as part of the working job, which means you've really got to be savvy in knowing how to work on the run, which means VPNs, VDIs, knowing how to protect yourself, your company. Old school screen protectors for your laptop so the person sitting the row behind you can't read everything on your screen, which was years ago. There was a guy sitting on the row ahead of me across the aisle. I could see everything he was working on, and he happened to be working on a mergers and acquisitions deal for the company my husband was working with.
Yes.
And I told him that. We got off the plane. I said, by the way, I said, you're working on a mergers and acquisition deal for ON Semiconductor? He went, I said, you should really use a screen protector.
Yeah, it's amazing how many times I overhear on the train people talking about lawyers talking about their customers and clients and being quite specific, actually.
Stop that, right? Every now and then you'll hear me on here or you'll hear Paul on here say something about our work and something that might be related. Like I said, we put out the notice of the glasses, but I would never dare give details of problem clients or colleagues, whether it's at this job or another. Even if I give a war story about something we dealt with, I won't even tell you what employer I was with at the time. And considering that I did consulting work, there's no telling who it is. It could be Fortune 1 down, right? There's no telling. And Ralph's the same way. He's got a ton of consulting. If he happens to give a war story, it's not going to be specific enough for you to be able to identify the company, much less the one that he's consulting with at the time. So, yeah, people, y'all need to learn a word called discretion. And oh my God, did that burn coming out of my mouth?
Yeah, because
I do have discretion, people.
yeah, I didn't have any war stories about large fruit-based technology companies or anything like that.
Nothing, or license plate readers or anything, right? So what's some other news for the week that we've got? Here's a few. Oh, you got some? Go ahead.
I've got 2 or 3 little enforcement ones. In fact, one really big enforcement one.
Ooh, go for it.
I'm not sure if we mentioned this on the podcast before, but about a week ago now, so was fined another $567 million from New Mexico.
That one was, we saw the New Mexico one.
Yeah, but this is a new one. It was $375 million in fines already. Now this is an additional $567 million.
Shame on Meta.
Bringing the total to $942 million.
Which they probably make that in an hour. Cost of doing business,
Cost of
right?
doing
It's the
business.
cost of doing business.
Then a couple of smaller ones, perhaps. One from our good friend, Dr. Alex on the Isle of Man, who we had as a previous guest. This only a reprimand on the Cabinet Office for an island-wide canvass for electoral registration details.
Those elections get wicked over there, people. I'm telling you, wicked.
So information out of date, personal data breach occurred, blah, 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 usual stuff. And the third one I've got, just a small one. I don't know if I can really call this a fine yet or not. It was reported in the Irish Independent that the Irish regulator is going to fine the dating firm Tinder between 8 and 11 million after a GDPR probe all the way back from 2020.
Ooh, sexy.
Yeah, whether you swipe left or swipe right, I don't know which way it is.
Or swipe up or swipe down.
But yeah, it looks like something to do with transparency and compliance with subject access request rights.
I bet the subject access request for that can be pretty spicy, pretty dicey. I met my husband online. Did you?
I think you mentioned it to me once. Yeah.
Long before it was cool to do so. So back in our first message was January of 2001. We are probably one of the longest running couples, married couples, especially from Match.com back when they launched it as a friend finder. Not necessarily dating. I have to tell you, the messages I got from men who assumed I was a single woman with kids, divorcee, looking for a party. Oh my God, my eyes were burned.
Yeah.
The reason he and I got to talking is because he never wrote me. And I'm like, oh, cool. So he doesn't like me. So maybe we can be friends. How was I supposed to know he'd fall in love?
I do have a couple of single friends who use dating websites. And again, I don't want to generalize, but the female coded ones especially do seem to get a level of attention and not only attention, sort of entitlement. Everyone's really friendly until you say no, then all of a sudden they get horrible and abusive.
Yeah,
right?
There was a few that I went out with. I made it very clear I was there for friends. Once we went to a movie and they realized I was serious, I never heard from them again. Like I said, that's why I reached out to Tim. We married 25 years yesterday. We went to Vegas and got married 1 week before school. So we're a thing. I have to give a shout out. And he does our intro and our outro. So y'all are used to hearing his voice too.
And a thoroughly nice chap as well. Shout out to Tim. Thoroughly nice chap.
Thank you. He really is. So along with these photos, these pics that women may receive unsolicited, when I got my 2 puppies and they're girls, and I showed them at a work event where we brought in all the attorneys from the world, and I was showing them around to my friends because we had just got them. The HR attorney, Alan Mitchell, who happens to be, I swear, 7 foot something and really deep voice from Trinidad and Tobago.
Wow.
He looked at me and said, he held his hands up, blocked the pictures, and said, I'm sorry, Kay, do you go around showing unsolicited pics? I said, but they're bitch pics. He had to laugh. He couldn't say anything.
Very
Okay,
nice.
a few headlines before we go. Brazil, and these are literally headlines. We're not going to go into details, people, but go catch these if they catch your attention. Brazil agency orders the Discord platform to suspend live streaming over child safety concerns. Hello. Who governs AI? This was White and Case, discusses the growing tension between state level mandates and federal priorities. White and Case is a fabulous one to follow for information. German advocacy group lodges a criminal complaint over the Meta AI glasses.
Wow.
What's the latest in trials over claims that social media is hurting children? Meta, Google's, TikTok, Snap, facing thousands of lawsuits brought by states, school districts, individuals, everything. And they're going after the design aspect, which is what they were found guilty of. Yeah, not guilty because it wasn't criminal, but what they were found to be using bad design principles. They've appealed that and it was rejected.
Okay.
So that this design aspect, which is not content, is going to proceed, which we thought it would be. Uber Freight is investigating a cyber incident following hacker claims. Rippling, HR technology firm Rippling, is suing a startup called RunLayer for infringing data patents. And I'm back to yesterday, U.S. court, that's another thousands of lawsuits. The U.S. House Democrats are pressing Anthropic, OpenAI about rogue AI agents. Have you seen those stories? We talked about it a month and a half, 2 months ago, and everybody's like, no, that didn't really happen, Kay. The news headlines are wrong.
It's not rogue AI. Someone's got to press the button.
Someone got to press the button somewhere, but where's it? Anyway, crypto bill faces long odds after the Senate punts the vote to September. There's IP counterfeiting, confusion about confusion. Robotics and physical AI, securing the EU market access after the digital omnibus on AI. Ralph can talk about that on another show. See if there's a North Korea hacking group builds AI tools for cyber attacks. Let's see. Former SK Hynix employee is jailed for leaking information to a Chinese firm. Ooh. And then I'll stop at this one. Delaware judge, this only goes back to August the 10th, and we're recording on August the 12th. Delaware judge orders Verisk to proceed with the $2.35 billion AccuLynx deal. This is a data analytics firm. Verisk is to try completing its planned acquisition of a roofing software maker, AccuLynx. This is something that's in my field with insurance right now. Everybody uses Verisk. The order comes more than 7 months after Verisk said it pulled the plug on the deal. So there you go. Something that hits my industry directly.
It's about time because I'm going to put on my non-smart sunglasses and go outside and watch the eclipse.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So as the light goes down outside, the light goes down on another week to the podcast. And until then, just remains for me to say goodbye and see you again.
Bye, y'all.
Now that was serious privacy. Please subscribe on your favorite podcast app and leave us a review. You can find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Blue Sky as Serious Privacy. Feel free to drop us a question or a comment. We'd love to hear from you.
If you're a data protection or privacy professional, you already know the pressure. Non-stop regulatory change, AI oversight, internal demands, and the expectation to somehow stay ahead of it all. And the old patchwork of tools just isn't cutting it anymore.
No. That's why TrustArc created a modern privacy management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. The TrustArc platform brings your workflows, evidence, research, tasks, and applications all together in one unified and intelligent workspace so you don't waste time digging, clicking, or context switching.
With Ask Arc, your privacy assistant, you can ask plain language questions about laws, jurisdictions, or even your own program data and get credible, cited answers based on NIMBY research and more than 1,000 global laws. It's explainable, transparent, and purpose-built for data protection and privacy.
So if you need to add a vendor, create a cookie banner, or start an assessment, quick actions take formally complex tasks, turn them into bite-sized guided workflows to save you time.
It's a platform that thinks like you, works like you, and helps you move faster with confidence, whether you're a seasoned DPO or you're just getting started.
See how modern privacy gets done. Explore Arc at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.